Many of my friends complain that I constantly harp about politics generally and Donald Trump specifically. They say I'm not the same person from years ago when I talked about Jesus and Jewish life. It's certainly true that when I was a congregational leader, I didn't talk about politics because it's divisive and shouldn't be part of congregational life. But things have radically changed over the years. When I came to faith in 1969, in the midst of huge societal changes, the churches and other organizations that I was a part of never talked about politics. But I knew a lot about politics growing up in a political family in the Washington, D.C. area and eventually working for several years on Capitol Hill. The big change came with the advent of the moral majority in the late 1970s and 80s. Suddenly, it was as if Jesus wanted his followers to organize, campaign, give financially, and vote for the Republican Party. At the time, I was working for the Republican Majority Whip in the U.S. Senate. I found the moral majority and its related organizations contaminated the gospel message with socially conservative politics. At the very same time, I was leading a Bible study on Capitol Hill that staff members of both parties attended. The only rule was that politics was left at the door. Years later, after attending seminary, I began leading a Messianic Jewish congregation in Richmond, Virginia. While the congregation was politically conservative, I never talked about politics and prohibited political material from being placed in the congregation. The congregation was supposed to be a welcome place for all. However, during the Obama candidacy, I did warn the congregation about disseminating misinformation about Obama on social media as the political climate in the U.S. and especially among evangelical Christians was changing. At the end of 2011, my wife and I moved to Israel. Just prior to the 2016 presidential primaries, I returned to the U.S. and spoke at my former congregation. My subject was walking like Jesus. At the end of the message, I mentioned the upcoming primaries and general election and said there were many good candidates in both parties, but the one person believers should never support is Donald Trump. He is the antithesis of Jesus the Messiah. As we know, in the 3 elections since, Trump garnered around 80% of the white evangelical vote, a completely shocking development. While I'm very concerned about another Trump presidency, I'm far more distressed about how support for him is linked with the message of Jesus the Messiah, the one who surrendered his place at the right hand of God to die for mankind and who lived a life of service and healing to humanity is now co-opted by politics of power and greed. The body of Messiah generally doesn't see this, but those on the outside do, and they're appalled. I will continue to speak about this and endeavor to do something about it until the body of Messiah is purged of this poison. Will you join me? To learn more about politics and the gospel, consider my new book on Amazon, How Politics Has Distorted the Gospel.